All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. As I continue to rumble through the proceedings for the upcoming NFL season, I'm going to take this time out right now to talk all things in the AFC East. Now, we saw both the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins finish with identical 11-6 marks last year. Both teams were 4-2 in the division. Both teams were 7-5 overall in the AFC, but the nod for the division crown went to Buffalo. The Bills are going to look to make it 5 consecutive AFC East championships this year. But does any team in this division have what it takes to knock off Buffalo and be the new kings of the mountain? I want to start with the New York Jets, okay? A year ago, we saw the Super Bowl aspirations for the Jets evaporate in a New York minute. Why? Because, of course, we all know what happened on that fateful Monday night game last year at MetLife Stadium to begin the year. Uh, I have never, okay, seen that stadium come to life for the Jets in the fashion that it did to begin that game. And then in a New York minute, it went from a celebration to a funeral. Of course, we know what happened with Aaron Rodgers. So now the Jets have to keep the future Hall of Fame quarterback healthy. And aside from being able to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy, will the Jets just simply be able to live up to the expectations that have been thrust upon them? First things first, you got to protect a veteran quarterback, especially a veteran quarterback who's coming back from an Achilles injury like Aaron Rodgers is. And it starts up front with your offensive line. And, this Jets offensive line has been questioned for quite some time. So this offseason, we saw New York sign former Dallas Cowboys offensive tackle Tyron Smith. And, this guy has been an anchor or was an anchor for the Cowboys offensive line for years. I think he's going to be a future Hall of Famer. That's how good he was in his prime. But let's see what he can still bring to the Jets. And then also keeping a guy like guard Elijah Vera Tucker healthy as well is going to be very important for this Jets offense. I think New York definitely has to focus on their run game, and they have the talent to get it done. Brees Hall as well as rookie Braylon Allen coming out of Wisconsin. Keep an eye on this young man. I think he's going to have an impact for this Jets team. Garrett Wilson at wide receiver being on the receiving end of passes from Aaron Rodgers. Will this Jets offense be able to live up to the hype? We've got to wait and see. We know this Jets defense can be very stingy. And, you think about all of the perils that New York had at quarterback last year with after they lost Aaron Rodgers in game number one. They still won 7 games. And I know, well, they went 7-10. Yeah, definitely. But a lot of that was due to their defense. And this Jets defense can be very stingy. Only Cleveland and Kansas City gave up fewer yards per game last year in a Robert Sala's bunch. And of course, both of those teams were playoff teams. And of course, Kansas City, they're the defending Super Bowl champs. You've got Quinnen Williams on that defensive line, who is an absolute stud. You look at the linebackers with C.J. Mosley, Jermaine Johnson II, and Quincy Williams. And then, of course, Sauce Gardner, one of the best young cover corners in the National Football League. I've talked about the Hassan Reddick fiasco for the Jets. Is it going to linger over this team? Is it going to be a distraction for this team as we head into the season? Only time will tell. But the biggest thing for me is, will the Jets be able to live up to the hype? I think at the very least, they're going to be a lot better than they were last year. And I think they will be a playoff team as long as they're able to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy. Now, one of those teams that did make the playoffs out of this division last year, it was the Miami Dolphins. And for the first time since 2001, the Fins are coming off of consecutive trips to the postseason. However, success in the playoffs has continued to elude Miami, as you got to go all the way back to 2000 to find the last time that they were able to win a playoff game. Now, Miami will continue to have one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. You just look at the speed that they have assembled at the wide receiver position alone with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. It's all about Tagovailoa being able to consistently get the football to these burners and let them do their thing. I know that Miami signed veteran wide receiver Odell Beckham this offseason, but what does OBJ still have left in the tank? He's going to be 32 in November, and he's had a slew of knee injuries throughout his NFL career. Got talent at the running back position with Raheem Mostert and Devin Achane, and then protecting Tua, keeping him upright. You got a solid offensive line, which is led by Pro Bowl left tackle Terran Armstead. That's going to be important for Miami this year. Now, defensively for the Dolphins, no more Vic Fangio calling things defensively. It's Anthony Weaver's defense now. You lost Van Ginkel in free agency. He's with the Minnesota Vikings. And you've got to keep Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips healthy. Both of them suffered season ending knee injuries last year. And you just have to wonder how things would have been different for Miami coming down the stretch if they had the services of both of those guys. You bring in veterans who know how to get it done, like a Calais Campbell on that D line, and then Jordan Poyer in that secondary. We saw Poyer get released this offseason by the Buffalo Bills, stayed within this division, signing with Miami. And I think Jordan Poyer definitely has a point to prove this year. Also, keeping Jalen Ramsey healthy at cornerback. That's going to be big for Miami because Jalen Ramsey is going to be expected to cover the opposing team's best wide receiver. And when you have a cornerback of his abilities out there on the field, it really changes what you can do. So for Mike McDaniel and crew, will they be able to win their first AFC East crown since 2008? That's going to be important because clearly, when you win your division, you get at least one home playoff game. Will Miami be able to seize the moment? We got to wait and see. Then there's the Buffalo Bills, and I've talked about Buffalo. They are the four-time defending AFC East champions, but after last season's disappointing home loss in the divisional round to Kansas City, you knew the changes were coming to the Buffalo Bills, and there have been wholesale changes because Buffalo had a huge salary cap issue, and it resulted in the team parting with longtime stalwarts such as Jordan Poyer and Tre'Davious White. They lost wide receiver Gabe Davis in free agency, and they also traded Pro Bowl wide receiver Stephon Diggs to the Houston Texans. You still got Josh Allen, the Pro Bowl quarterback, and the question is, will he be able to carry the load? Why? Because the tenor of this team has changed now. And the talent around Josh Allen is not what it once was. And then on top of that, you look at what the amount of money that he is being paid. It's time for him to really go out there and carry this offense. And Josh Allen is going to have to take his game to another level. Why? 18 interceptions last year, 78 in his 6-year NFL career. Josh Allen is going to have to be more accurate with the football, and he's going to have to do a better job of taking care of the football overall. For me, with this Buffalo team, they got questions at the wide receiver position. You got Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel. Will these guys be on the same page with Josh Allen? We got to wait and see. This defense is going to look somewhat different. You still got defensive tackle Ed Oliver. You got Terrell Bernard in the middle. And is Von Miller done? I mean, there was a lot going on with Von Miller last year. 0 sacks in 2023 for the future Hall of Famer. Will he be able to turn it around and be that vintage Von Miller that the Buffalo Bills and Sean McDermott need to be? We just have to wait and see. And then finally, you've got the New England Patriots. And it's weird saying this, okay? But it's the dawn of a new era for the Patriots in more ways than one. For the first time since 1999, the Patriots will begin a season with a head coach that is not named Bill Belichick. It's Gerard Mayo's time to navigate New England ship as their head coach and try to get things turned around for a Patriots organization that has really fallen on hard times. You got to go back to 2019 to find um, the last time that you really thought about the Patriots as contenders. They missed the postseason in 2020. They made it in 2021. The last 2 years, they've missed it. And of course, last year was a train wreck. And of course, that train wreck resulted in Bill Belichick no longer being Patriots head coach. So it's Gerard Mayo's time. He was on Belichick's staff, and now he's the head guy in New England. We saw New England use the third overall pick in April's draft on quarterback Drake May, and he is their future. But for me, the biggest thing with bringing in Drake May is, will Mayo do a better job than Bill Belichick did with Mac Jones as far as putting the right people around him? And I'm not just saying the players, also the coaches. You look at New England's offense last year, only the Jets and Carolina Panthers were worse on offense last year than the Patriots were. So you've got offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt. What is he going to get out of the rookie? You bring in offensive assistant Ben McAdoo, former Giants head coach, and then you have quarterbacks coach TC McCartney. These three guys are going to be very important in the maturation process of Drake May. You also bring back veteran quarterback Jacoby Brissett to the Patriots, and that's going to be important because now, Gerard Mayo was saying it's an open competition, but you don't have to go out there and force Drake May, into a bad situation right away because the Patriots are, they're a ways away from being a contender for a postseason spot once again. So if it's one of those things where, what, maybe Jacoby Brissett goes out there and keeps the chair warm for half of a season or so until you feel like you're fully ready to give the keys to the franchise to Drake May. We got to wait and see. But then this defense under Gerard Mayo, how much different is it going to look than it was under Bill Belichick? We've already seen Matt Judon be traded this week to the Atlanta Falcons. You've got the new defensive coordinator, of course, in DeMarcus Covington. But I think a lot of the similarities, in my opinion, are still going to be the same for this defense. Gerard Mayo learned at the feet of Bill Belichick in the NFL. It's going to be a lot of interchangeable parts, a lot of doing your job. But I think this Patriots regime is going to focus more on bringing in talent and not simply relying on the system. It's going to be a work in progress. I think the Patriots will be competitive this year, but I'm not sure that they're going to win enough games to really be in postseason contention. So when it's all said and done, I think this division comes down to the Jets, and I think it comes down to Miami. New England's rebuilding, like I said. Buffalo, I think, is going to take a step back. Okay, they lost a lot of talent from that team, and I'm not sure if Josh Allen is simply going to be able to put this offense on his back by himself and get Buffalo back to the playoffs. I'm not sure. But I think when it's all said and done, I think this division comes down to the Jets and Miami. And at the end of the day, I'm picking Miami to win the AFC East for the first time since 2008. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. And as I am in the process of talking all NFL things, for the upcoming season, giving you a division by division breakdown, please be sure to check out this channel tomorrow as I will be discussing the NFC North. So, folks, as always, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.